wonderful people. Thank you for joining us. Aren't you so happy that James is back?
Hello,
Everyone was
everybody.
very concerned about you, James.
I'm sure they were, rightly so. I have been suffering dreadfully on safari for the past 28 days. Uh, I've got to tell you, it's really hard going with guests to five-star lodges throughout Africa. Tough times at Parmesan in Zimbabwe, 3 meals a day, 4 scoops of incredible sorbet a day. Difficult times on Game Drive, obviously, and then we moved on to Ngala, private tented camp in the sort of southern regions of the Timbavati. Also very trying times. 3 meals a day, delicious. Then same again at Singita and Londolozi, and altogether I'm surprised I made it through the last 28 days. It was hard.
Well, we're all very glad that you managed to survive. I mean, on only three
Thank
meals a
you.
day, it can be very hard.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
well, welcome to Wild Moments, everyone. It's where we get to explore what's been happening over the last week, and it has been a very exciting week. And remember, this is brought to you by explore.org. We're very happy about that. And before we start, actually, oh, it's me, Trishala, by the way, but before we start, I've been trying very hard to find something that I could share with you, and I finally found it. It's a shark jaw.
Oh, wow.
Amazing, isn't it?
It
It's a lot
is.
smaller than I remember. There we
Not
go.
from a great white, then.
No, it's from a very small tiger shark.
Ah,
I made this jaw. So before I was, in the bush, I was working with sharks, and this poor fellow didn't make it. So I managed to get its jaw and treat it, and now I can use this to demonstrate to you how big a little shark's jaw is. About the size of my head.
it's still quite big. And I'm glad to see apparently you were afraid your grandmother had thrown that particular relic away, but in fact she
Yes,
didn't.
I
She did
was.
not.
Yes, thankfully she did not.
What a
So you
relief.
might see that I'm in a different setting. That's because I'm in Durban today, which is my birth city, and I found my shark jaw from many years ago. And maybe we might get visited by a vervet monkey or two.
That would be exciting. Certainly
Wouldn't
much more exciting than the single freezing grey-headed sparrow sitting outside my window.
it? Okay, speaking of birds, let's jump straight into it. I said that we had quite an interesting week, so let's have a look. It's our couple, or at least one of our couple, of our rose eagles, and something very
Oof,
special happened.
that is gorgeous.
Beautiful. I actually didn't realize that this is the pair at the Walter Sisulu. Oh, do you see the specialness? A little white head bobbing about.
Oh, wow. Oh, there it is, on the right
Yes.
of the nest, being fed, no less. Oh,
Oh,
magnificent. Hopefully not on someone's domestic dog that they've just lost in the region of the Walter Sisulu Botanical Gardens, but rather on some local wildlife.
oh, this is
Oh,
this is so precious. I do understand that um, we had predicted the date to be about the 27th or 28th of May. So a couple days early. This was on Tuesday.
hmm.
Oh,
So this was on Tuesday.
I'm not sure if it hatched on Tuesday or if the clip is on from Tuesday. Because from what I understand, they won't eat in the first about 24 hours. So it's
Okay,
probably, yeah, hatched maybe on Monday.
that's fantastic. So currently in its fourth day on planet Earth. And
Isn't
I'm
that
I'm
special?
assuming that we don't know if the second was there a second egg, first of all, and secondly, I'm presuming it hasn't hatched yet.
Yeah. Well,
Hmm.
usually if they do have a second egg, they say that it's their obligate
Siblicide.
siblicide. Yes, thank you. But I don't know if I ever saw a second egg. I remember seeing one, but I'm not sure if I ever saw a second egg.
Okay. I think the second
But we
one
have,
only hatches three or 4 days after the first one.
yeah.
So
And if there
if there
is,
is, yeah, if it is going to happen, it should be round about now, I guess. Cool.
yeah. Oh, wouldn't it be cool? It happens right now.
Mm, that would be great.
Rolling
Yes.
trouble. We have some hellos. You say hi, James and Trishala from Washington State. Hello, Rolling Trouble. Thanks for joining us again.
Hello, hello, rolling trouble.
Aussie Jan 2. Hello from Australia. G'day, mate.
G'day, Aussie Gen 2. Is there an Aussie Gen 1 or just an Aussie Gen 2? Are you the second Aussie Gen in Australia? Never mind. Carry on, Trish.
Come on. How am I meant to carry on after that? Andy says, good afternoon, Trish and James, and everyone else. I trust that you're having a wonderful day. James, been in any trees lately, James?
I was in a tree actually fairly recently. It was a Eleodendron transvalensis, a Transvaal saffron tree. I was trying to retrieve a long dried piece of bone that had been hung up there by a leopard.
Ah,
That's the
that's
last tree I was in. Thank you.
well, we're very glad to know that you're keeping up with your sport.
Yes. Yes, thank you.
Stephanie says, good morning from Virginia. Good morning or good afternoon from us, at least.
Yes,
And
hello,
John,
Stephanie.
good afternoon to both of us from Florida. Cindy Shelton, hello, everyone. Love your show. Looking forward to it. Why, thank you.
Thank you.
And Rolling Trouble says, oh, James, suffering on safari.
Yes.
Trying times.
Thank you so much for your sympathy, Rolling Trouble. Much needed.
Absolutely. Well, we've got another clip as well of our black eagles, which is basically the theme of the first half of the show because it's so exciting. So let's have a look at that one.
Hmm.
Oh,
Goodness.
oh! Gosh, for a
What is
moment I
that?
thought that was a chip, but that looks like a dussie or at least a
Well,
small
one would
rodent.
hope it's a Dussie. For those of you who are not aware or perhaps missed the last couple of shows, I'm sure Trish has mentioned this, but the Walter Sisulu Botanical Gardens is in the western regions of Johannesburg, and there's a lot of urban sprawl quite close by. Oh, wow, that's beautiful. And,
Stunning.
obviously there's not a massive amount of wildlife left in the area, sadly. And so, best to keep your kitties and doggies inside in that particular region. There are also a lot of stray animals. Oh, look at them flying back onto the nest around the area. And so, while it's most likely a rock hyrax, and that's the preferred prey, it's not impossible that a stray domestic moggy or two might end up in the nest of that black eagle. That doesn't
Well,
look like one, though.
maybe it's a guinea pig. I mean, if it was going to be some kind of domestic
Yes,
animal. But what
yes,
is a guinea pig doing out on its own?
no, quite. I'm sure it's tasty,
It's
whatever it
yes, it's
is.
interesting. Oh, that's a lovely shot. Just to give you some
It's
perspective
gorgeous.
on,
Mm,
yeah, on exactly the placement of the nest. That's wonderful.
mm,
It's great that you
beautiful.
brought up the where these eagles are nesting in proximity to the city and talking about
Mm,
urbanization because it's they've been I mean essentially quite successful considering
yeah.
how much growth has been happening in that area.
Mm.
Wow.
I think that's fantastic. That's really very special to see that. Both of those birds flying from their nest. And most likely, I think, Trish, if I'm not mistaken, the
Mm.
male sitting on the branch and the female doing the feeding.
Most often it would be the female doing the feeding, yeah.
Okay.
And then also the female is larger, and certainly the one
Okay.
that was doing the feeding looked a bit bulkier.
She did look a bit bulkier. He's I can see myself being in much the same position in the next little while when eventually my offspring arrives. I can see myself sitting like that male offering useless advice on how to feed the youngster. That's what it looks like he's doing to me. Why don't you do X,
It
Y, and Z?
also,
And eventually she's got irritated and left.
I guess you'll also be keeping a safe distance like that too, as you
Oh, yes,
spew your
very safe
advice.
distance. Possibly from outside, through the window.
That's the most safe you could be, I think, from Kirst.
Yeah,
So
cool.
that's our Black Eagles, at least for today. But we're going to keep abreast, of course, of all their activities because it's a really special time for them. We're going to be able to get a clear view of the chick in the next couple of days, hopefully, maybe even a second chick, and then see what happens. Follow their lives.
Yeah, absolutely. One of their lives will be particularly short if a second chick does hatch, but still, there it is.
At least we'll be able to learn from it and watch it.
Yes.
Stephanie, you're very excited that the eagle has hatched. We must agree,
Yeah, it's
certainly.
really very, very cool. And to be witness to it is in real time is very, very cool as well. Especially such a special
Yeah,
pair with such a history behind it. I think it's really magnificent.
it is.
Hmm.
Well, we look forward to next week when we'll be able to bring you more clips of them. But for today, we're going to
Yeah.
move on to a slightly larger predator.
Ah, look top left. I
Mhm.
think that's where the action's happening, is it?
All I could see in the top left was my face, but now I've moved it.
Yes, I've moved
I
my
did
face.
see
Oh,
something.
here we go.
Oh, there we go.
So 3 wild dogs. And we'll get back to discussing the time of day that this happened, because I think that's quite interesting.
Mm.
An Egyptian goose, which is thought better of coming out of the water.
It always amazes me the amount of energy they have when they hunt.
Mm.
And I say that relatively, because when you watch lions or leopards hunt, surely there is definitely lots of energy, but with wild dogs, they just seem to be bouncing,
Yeah.
launching themselves off the ground.
All right, so apologies for the poor quality, but that's a function of the fact that the camera is now zoomed in to the absolute max, and it's at night in infrared. And what you're seeing here, I think, is that there is a prey animal in the water there that the dogs are trying to get a hold of. Zumi is doing an excellent job.
I just saw a pair of eyes bob up, but I
Yeah.
haven't been able to
Oh,
really. Oh, there we go.
although that's a hound. Oh, it's an impala. There we go.
Yes,
Wow. They both look a bit confused.
exactly. I'm not sure it has actually taken the impala, like injured
No.
it yet.
I think that the dogs will really struggle to pull that animal out there. Oh,
Is that
terrifying that must be for
another
the animal.
dog swimming towards it now?
No,
You
that's a
see that, James?
crocodilo.
That's a dog.
It's a croc.
Ah,
Oh, seems to have gone past the impala. Go on, impala. We're rooting for you, chum. That's it.
oh,
Keep
it's
going.
struggling.
Keep going. Oh dear.
There we go. There we
That's it.
go.
Please escape. Oh dear. That don't look good. Come on, Zoomy. Ah!
Oh,
Run for your
oh,
life and never stop. Probably so exhausted now.
shame.
Please let the dogs not be there. Just to let you know, everyone, we haven't seen that clip before. So that's that's really cool.
That
Yeah,
is. James, do you
fascinating.
know anything about what had happened after that?
No, no idea. I'm sure we can get my wife, who's sitting in the room next door, to write me a message or write us both a message. Impala escapes. She's typing now. Impala escapes. Runs. No, well runs away. Impala escape. Well runs away.
Yeah,
There we go. Okay.
great.
Okay.
We
I think.
so often we especially with clips like this, it's focused on the actual hunt, but a lot of the time you get these great stories where the prey gets away after a
Yeah.
struggle, and that was a struggle.
One is minded of the migration crossings and the fact that no one ever roots for the crocodile and always roots for the wildebeest who are crossing the water. Can we go back to the clip, please, Kirsten? Ellie said, my dear. And then just watch top right. I think that there is an impala, if not the impala. Top left, sorry.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, there they go. And obviously they were chased there. Now, when was this? When was this shot? Was this a few nights ago during the full moon? Do we know?
Uh, I'm
I
not
will wait.
sure. I know it was in the morning, early morning, last
Okay,
Friday.
Friday morning. So I think there was a full moon, and you can see how bright it is there. I mean, it's definitely not dawn yet. It's so that infrared light will turn off automatically as soon as there's enough ambient light. And it's quite interesting because dogs do hunt in under a full moon, and they're the one predator for whom the full moon really does help. And I think that that's what's going on here. I think it's, I mean, maybe there's a bit of dawn light. I can't really tell.
Do you think
I suppose them. Yeah.
do you think that that has to do with the structure of maybe the cells in their eyes? Do you think they maybe have less light sensitive rods compared to other predators?
I think it's possible. I mean, they're just not ambush predators, so I think it doesn't, they're
Mm.
going to use the best light that they can. And they probably don't have eyes as sensitive as lions or leopards to the nighttime, but I do think that it would certainly be, they'd be far more sensitive than ours. They still only
Oh
see
yeah.
in two colors, and that generally means that the number of rods, or as you were saying, light sensitive cells in the eyes are that much more prominent than the cones, which see a bit more color.
We have a couple questions. First, James, to address something that
Yeah,
you had said. Aussie Jan 2 would like to clarify that Aussie Jan 1 no longer exists and was
right.
updated to Aussie Jan 2.
Good. Thank you, Aussie Jan.
Gigi would like to know if it's weird that the dogs are in the water, have gone into the water.
Gigi, no, it's not weird, but you can see how reticent they are to go into the water. They're afraid of a few things. I think they're afraid of the depth. They're afraid of crocodiles because crocodiles will eat them. And I think from what we've seen passing further on, the impala is in such deep water and actually in a bit of a bog that I think the
Hmm.
impala realize how almost impossible it will be for them to kill him and eat him in situ or drag him out. You can see that dog realizes that he's in a bit of a hopeless situation. And then we have this rather bizarre picture of them sort of almost sitting in that bog in solidarity before the dog makes his way off. And you can see the croc coming now, top right.
Yes, there we go.
And the dog's watching the crocodile. and decides, no, thank you very much, and off he goes.
Also note that the crocodile's moving fairly fast in the water, and we
Yeah,
often think of them as these lethargic animals, but they're very agile in water and can move quite quickly on land as well if they need to.
they're, they're incredibly quick in the water.
Mhm.
I mean, I remember again the Mara watching them. It looks like they look like they're jet propelled when they're going after something that's just got into the water. And how the crocodile managed to miss this particular prey item trying to escape, I'm not sure. Maybe it's because he's in the bog rather than in the actual water.
Yeah, and I suppose the dog had just moved off in that direction the crocodile was moving in, so it would have attracted its attention more than
Yeah,
this impala that was sitting still at the time.
yeah. I think that animal must be utterly shattered now. So
Oh
exhausted.
yeah.
Mm, shame.
Yeah. And I mean, we would all know if you've walked even in the sandy area on the beach,
Mm,
it's much harder for you to lift your weight when you have that resistance and you get tired
yeah,
much quicker. And this was, it was in whole body basically
yeah.
and trying to pull its body weight. Tim just
Horrid.
wanted to know why the impala is shaking its head. That's just because the head's probably very wet after all that commotion.
Yeah, I think so. I think probably some mud and water in the ear. I noticed it was doing it as it was doing that, sort of jumping through that bog. And I guess just like a dog or a cat will shake its head when they've got something in the ear, I think that's probably what was going on there.
Also, the less if it can get as much water off its head as possible, it means that there's less weight for it to pull
Yeah.
up. And I know it seems incremental; it's such a small amount that it's put on, but it will help.
Hmm.
Okay. Oh, Andy gets chased again back into the water sometime later. Oh no,
That's very sad, Andy.
that's a
We were all quite happy that the impala had escaped, and now you've ruined our day. Uh,
How do you know it's the same impala, Andy?
well, Andy, you don't know it's the same impala, but quite possibly. I will say that dogs are very patient, and they will sit around water for a long time and wait for whatever it is to either be devoured by predators in the water or until it makes the mistake of coming out, gets too exhausted, hungry, or whatever it is, and comes out. So it wouldn't surprise me that the dogs had been close by. Thank you, Andy, for that nice piece of
Andy.
information.
Okay, let's move on to an even larger predator now, called the M179 male.
Well, so romantically named. It's just like Mufasa, M179. Fascinating line shot, this one. Ah,
Uh-huh.
hello, big fella.
I think
That
it's
was him
quite
roaring, in
romantic.
case you're wondering. Yes,
Yes, I think it's quite romantic that they're on opposite sides of this dam. Yes.
it is very romantic. Romantic scenes indeed. Ooh, that's not so romantic.
Yes, it depends what you're into.
It's the reaction I get when I cook dinner.
Oh, James, things are only going to get worse for you, aren't they?
I know. And in case you're wondering, everyone, it is black and white because it's nighttime. It's in infrared. Not sure what's going on here. Let's just let the scene play out. Yeah.
Hmm.
Settling to drink some mud. And off she goes. It's quite interesting to see. What do you think,
I'm
Trish? What do you think was going on there?
well, I don't think that maybe he would have wanted to mate, but certainly was turned away. But I don't think that was a fight either. Perhaps they're familiar with each other. I'm not sure if this
Yeah.
is maybe the coalition that she's familiar with, but if it was going to be confrontational, it would have been a lot more than that, I think. This seemed to
Mm,
be more of a hey, don't irritate me now.
yeah. I see that it's an unidentified female at Tembe, and
Mm,
I wonder if this is maybe a kind of a first meeting, and he's unfamiliar with her, and she, being a lioness, will be naturally fairly standoffish until she's fairly sure that he's not going to try and kill her straight away. Um, and we can't. It's difficult to read his body language. He seems just relatively interested. He doesn't look
mm,
like he's trying to be aggressive at all. But if things with lions, I find can change incredibly fast. And she's probably just saying, "Stay away from me. I'm new in the area. Let's feel each other out before we get it on, as it were." But I think also if she is unidentified and she's at that waterhole, which is a very well known waterhole, she may well be a stranger and she won't be part of the pride, which means that she will be on edge and
yeah,
trying to sort of, she'd be very afraid generally. I don't think there was any mating going on there. He
yeah,
didn't sort of attempt to give her a sniff around the rear end. And I don't think that I think that, I mean, the audio we heard at the beginning was just roaring. I don't think that was them having a fight. But if he's being territorial, it's possible that he was being territorial on smelling or seeing an unknown female.
yeah. Well, Fish Taco was just asking about whether they were fighting at the beginning. That answers that.
And that just sounds like the end of a roar to me, doesn't it to you, Trish?
Mm, mm, yeah,
I don't think that's a.
and I think that makes sense as well. If this is a new female in the area and he's kind of introducing himself, this is their first
Yeah,
meeting. He wants to appear as territorial as possible, I would imagine,
yeah,
without having to actually touch her or interact with her just yet.
yes, yeah. Very interesting. It'd be interesting to see if she turns up again. And obviously, lionesses are
Yes.
very difficult to identify at the best of times, especially on a sort of grainy night shot. So, I'm not sure we'll see her again, but we might.
Hopefully we will.
Hopefully, we will.
Carol says she's playing hard to get.
Carol, I
She
think
very
there's
well
an
could.
element of that too. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Rolling Trouble says James Monty has not been seen.
Oh,
Who's Monty,
that is
James?
Monty. Trish is the world's cleverest python. It was the
Oh,
python
yes.
at the bird catching python. He's probably just decided to move off and find elsewhere to live. I'm not sure. Maybe he's just tired of eating feathers. I'm not sure. But that's interesting. Rolling Stone.
Yes.
Hmm.
Nice. Well, maybe, some of the population of birds caught on that that's not a good branch to be around.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah. Took them long enough.
that too. And then, Pound says close up shows her face covered in blood. There must have been a kill off camera.
Okay.
It could be blood. It could also just be mud because she was around the
Hmm.
water hole. Her head was down. Her paws are
Yeah.
also muddy. Difficult to tell. but certainly it looks like something wet.
Yeah. Possible also that he's chased her off a kill. You see how he's
Yes.
standing? He's standing in a very dominant posture there, with his head high up. Yeah, so that's not a very friendly posture. His head's not down and kind of friendly. And that's why she reacts like she does when he comes towards her, I think. Let's just see that.
Could it be that she's actually got something with her there? Although I imagine that he'd be more aggressive if she did.
No, I think he'd just slap her if there was something there that he wanted. Can we go back to their interaction? Here we go. Yeah. Yeah, lions tend to move towards each other with their heads down when it's a friendly interaction. I don't think there's anything there. Maybe I'm wrong, Trish. Maybe she has got something there. Looks to me like
It's
she's
just
just
because
drinking.
but
Yeah,
her
you're
posture
right.
seems lying.
Mm.
Yeah, as opposed to,
Yeah.
with head down
Maybe
drinking.
she's carried something off. Fascinating.
Even his paws are quite damp. I mean, it could be again from mud or from blood.
Yeah,
We don't
yeah.
know, but they do rhyme at
Mud
least.
and blood. Very good.
Mud and blood. Anyway, guys, I think that's time for us to say thank you very much for joining us. It's been
Yeah,
lovely. I
thank
got
you.
to say hi to James again. I haven't seen him in a while. So thanks everybody from all three of us and Kirsten. See you next time.
See you next week. Bye.